Welcome to this week's edition of the Dixie Sun News at Noon. I'm Hannah Hickman.
And I'm Sarah Richardson. Thanks for tuning in.
If you have ever felt unsafe walking on campus, this is for you. DSU has released a new app focused on safety. Through the Safe app, students now have quick access to a number of features, including Friend Walk, which sends your location to a friend, campus maps, emergency response plans, and the ability to report safety concerns straight to campus security. The app is free on the App Store and Google Play.
DSU is continuing to offer free COVID testing amid vaccination distribution in Utah. While nursing students at Dixie State University are allowed to receive the vaccine, higher education members are not on the list to receive the vaccine. About 400 students participated in the first test screenings on campus. The university has not announced plans to require students to get the vaccine and will continue to make free testing available on campus for students once every month. Being involved on campus can help students feel more connected, which is more important now than ever. Dixie Sun reporter Olivia Rude went to the Club Rush to find out all the clubs you can join.
Club Rush is just, we put on this for a 2-day event, and all the clubs on campus get to come, and they just get to kind of just have a table and explain to students that are walking by to class or wherever they're going on campus just about their club and just information about it. And then this is a good opportunity for clubs to gain more people in their clubs and just like gain people to have more experience with clubs.
We're running the MISA booth here. We just include all different types of groups on campus and try to throw events that will bring everybody together and create a sense of community here on campus.
I love it because we engage more with one another. We meet new people that have like the same purpose as us, and we all seek to help each other out.
I think it's a great opportunity, especially for students who feel kind of left out when they come on campus. You can just automatically have a group of friends and you know everything that's going on campus, and it's also a good way to get scholarships.
Although Club Rush is now over, you can still join on BlazerLink.
Learning and teaching through Zoom and in person has its pros and cons. Take a look at what some students and professors have to say about their preferred learning and teaching methods. With spring semester fully in swing, students, faculty, and staff are adjusting to their preferred methods of learning and teaching. Since fall semester ended, there are students who are adamant about wanting to attend classes in person. One student in particular didn't attend last semester at all and dropped all of his classes taught over Zoom.
I don't like it. I can't focus as well. I can't see what's on the screen. It's just not for me. I don't like Zoom. I definitely think you get a lot more out of it. It's more interactive. You can, even with the people around, you can ask for help if you need it. Zoom is just like, I feel like you're not really part of the class.
While the university has made it clear students must attend in-person classes unless they provide accurate documentation on why they can't attend, there are still students who simply can't risk being in class in person.
I like being online because it works with my work schedule, and I also get to work at my own pace.
While most instructors are teaching in person, on campus there are still a few who have decided to stay online, with one of the biggest drawbacks being student engagement and not being able to regularly check in on students in person.
Teaching remotely and using Zoom is sort of this long-term learning experience, right? I will say that the challenge is, I want the students to be okay. I like that in a face-to-face class, I can see how they're doing and get a sense, if somebody's missing class or having a hard time keeping up, I can reach out to help. And it's a lot harder to know, is everybody doing all right? Is everybody in good health and so on remotely? So, as an instructor, I care about students and I don't want students to fall through the cracks or not feel supported themselves.
For Dixie Sun News, I'm Hannah Hickman. Whether you are learning remotely or in person, reach out to your professors so they can help you excel academically.
The Southern Quill is celebrating its 70th year. The student-run literary arts journal, which began in 1951, creates academic and career opportunities for students. The Southern Quill is an outlet for students to showcase their work from poetry to visual arts.
And I think, it just really great opportunity for students to kind of professionalize and gain some experience. And I think students who actually see a product of their labor and, they understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. It really gives them incentive to work hard, and that the, work of the course isn't just an empty exercise in completing an assignment, but it's handling the work from writers and artists. It is really just a great chance for students to do some hands-on learning and have a product that they can show to potential employers or to graduate schools, something that they were a part of, something that they made, something tangible. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about the journal.
Did you know one of our own is actually Miss Nevada? Dixie Sun reporter Christy Shields has more.
Dixie State University has its own royalty here on campus, Miss Nevada Nasaya Mancini. Since she was a young teen, Nasaya has been involved in volunteer work, which has really been the focus of her life.
I started my social impact initiative back in 2011, and there's no way without the Miss America organization that I'd be able to ultimately grow it to what it is now. So I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful that we can really inspire, whether that's young children or young women. That community service is very vital, and it really makes an important change on your life, but then the person's life as well.
What makes Nasaya's journey so inspirational is her motivation behind serving. She was born at 25 weeks and spent 9 weeks in the hospital fighting for her life, but sadly her identical twin sister died.
And so I've always sat on this earth and wondered, why me? Why me? Why not my sister? Like, if I could do anything, I'd give my life so she could have one day here on earth. But I've made it my life mission to serve for the both of us.
But for her, she always walked the walk and talked the talk. She didn't say, I'm going to do this community service, or say, I'm going to do this. It was part of her everyday life.
Nasaya's manager and mother express her personality and what she has gained from her experience with the Miss America organization.
She's always very, very positive. She's very upbeat, but she's flexible. She kind of goes with the flow while at the same time knowing what her final goal is.
But it definitely gave her a layer of confidence and assertiveness that she wouldn't have had. And it really taught her to appreciate her life and just see kind of how difficult life can be for others.
For Dixie Sun News, I'm Christy Shields.
Local landmark Dixie Rock and the D on the Hill are in the process of joining the National Register of Historic Places. The City of St. George and Dixie State University are working together on an application that would not only put these locations on the register, but would protect them going forward. DSU says that the university values the name Dixie on a local level and wants to ensure that the landmarks remain honored symbol for the community.
Farmers Feeding Utah is coming to St. George. The organization purchases food directly from Utah farmers and donates it to struggling families. Farmers Feeding Utah will be handing out food tomorrow from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Dixie Convention Center. In legislation, a quick look on some new bills on Capitol Hill. House Bill 60, a proposal that will allow concealed carry for those over 21 without permits, has already passed through the House. Senate Bill 119 is aiming to make it legal for Utah bars and restaurants to sell alcohol as a to-go option, such as curbside pickup. And finally, House Resolution 3, which recognizes the exemplary service of Donovan Mitchell to the Utah Jazz and Utah community. This unusual resolution coming days after Shaquille O'Neal openly criticized Mitchell during a game. Recently, after Shaq made that statement, Mitchell made his 600th three-pointer in his career, which I think is just insane to think that he hasn't had this exemplary performance as an athlete.
Yeah, it's interesting. He has been really winning all of his games. Like the last 10 games, he's played a huge part in it. So it's interesting to see that they're not giving him some credit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just definitely something that should be highlighted. He's a star athlete. After the break, Michael with a breakdown on sports.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Welcome back. We're already near the end of January. I've been anticipating the month of February. Why? Because there's so much action coming our way for Dixie State Athletics. Here's what we can look forward to in the month of February.
Don't want to foul here. 3 by Nero. Good, but Dixie State wins it by a point, 74-73. The start of the D1 era starts with a win here at home tonight in a tough, hard-fought battle over the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota.
DC sports fans only got a little taste last year of what's to come for Trailblazer Athletics' new beginning of the Division I era. There are numerous sports programs who still need to make its D1 debut. Let's look ahead at which DSU athletic programs will be starting its season next week and an update on the programs who already begun its season. With 11 games under its belt, we have the men's basketball team. Currently, the Trailblazers are 4-7 overall and set in 7th place in the Western Athletic Conference. This season has been a mental challenge for the team because of the COVID-19 pandemic. DSU has had 4 games canceled and a doubleheader postponed until the end of the season. Head coach John Juckins said it's challenging to coach during these uncertain times because as soon as games get canceled, the team gets down mentally.
Just up and down and up and down, and we try to give them some days off, try to keep them fresh because of the long delay between games. But just keeping their mentally toughness. It's like I said, it's a tough. People don't realize how tough this is on these kids, to play, but they all want to play. They all want to do it. It's a good thing.
There's still a lot of games to be played for this Trailblazers team, and their next game will be on the road this week for a doubleheader against California Baptist. On the other hand, for women's basketball, its season has been suspended for the remainder of the 2020-21 season due to the overall health and wellness of the student athletes and program in mind. However, the Trailblazers did squeeze in 3 games and won 1 game against Park University. The women's basketball team will be back in action for the 2021-22 season. Women's swim is back in the pool for its spring portion of its schedule. The Trailblazers had a double swim meet matchup against Northern Arizona University and Grand Canyon University. Unfortunately, DSU dropped both contests and will race again on the road against Seattle University on January 28th. Making its spring debut, we have women's volleyball. It has been a busy schedule so far for the Trailblazers by having a match against Southern Utah University last weekend and a doubleheader against New Mexico State University at the beginning of this week. Fortunately enough, the volleyball team schedule gets less hectic and will have doubleheader matchups from here on out. Joining the spring season, we have men's soccer. The Trailblazers begin their season with a conference game at home against Air Force on February 6th. Looking to repeat the success of the 2019 season, we have women's soccer. The Trailblazers will start their season with 4 non-conference home games, kicking off with Gonzaga University on February 3rd and Weber State on February 6th. Finally, some action being played at Greater Zion Stadium. Other sports coming up in February is men's golf starting its season on February 6th through the 8th, and women's golf will start on February 8th through the 9th. Starting into February, softball will head down to Las Vegas for a tournament to start its season on February 12th through the 14th. Baseball will have a 4-game home series on February 25th through the 28th against Washington State University. Finally, football will be making its D1 debut on February 27th against Tarleton State. Brace yourself, DSU sports fans, because we have a lot of action to look forward to in this last week of January and the upcoming month of February. What a time to be a Trailblazer.
This amount of action might be overwhelming for some people, but I say bring it on. After the break, I'll have the updates on volleyball, cross country, swimming, and basketball.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Line up and get your tickets, DSU sports fans. Trailblazer Athletics announced single game tickets will be available for a limited time for 5 sports programs. Football, volleyball, baseball, softball, men's and women's soccer will be made available for single game general admission. Softball attendance will be limited to the seating capacity at Carl Brooks Field. Seating in the Burns area will stay at 25% capacity for volleyball games. And Greater Zion Stadium and Bruce Harris Field capacity will be capped at 50% for football, baseball, men's and women's soccer games. For more DSU Athletics ticket information, please visit DSUTix.universitytickets.com. The volleyball team is moving its home games to the Burns Arena. We get to see them in action next week. The Trailblazers started their season on the road against Southern Utah University and a doubleheader against New Mexico State University. Get the brooms because DSU swept the Thunderbirds 3-0, led by outside hitter Whitney Neapoli with 12 kills and 13 digs. Then the Trailblazers lost both matches to the Aggies by a final 3-1. Right side hitter and setter Megan Trainor led the way in the doubleheader with 20 kills, 32 assists, and 4 blocks. DSU will have the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley for a home conference matchup on February 1st at 6 p.m. and February 2nd at noon. Men's and women's cross country season is close to the finish line with one more race left on its schedule. The Trailblazers' first and only race this year was last weekend at the Dixie State Invitational. Women's cross country finished the race in 7th place and men's cross country finished in 6th place. DSU will have nearly a month to prepare for its last regular season race at the University of Nevada Las Vegas Invitational. Women's tennis is hitting the road again to take on Utah State University and Brigham Young University this weekend. The Trailblazers lost their doubleheader season opener to Northern Arizona University, falling 7-0 in both matches. They'll be facing off against the Aggies tomorrow and the Cougars for a doubleheader on Saturday. Men's basketball will head to California Baptist for a doubleheader matchup in hopes to finally snap its losing streak. The Trailblazers dropped their last 2 games against Grand Canyon University last weekend at home. Game 1 against the Lopes, you could definitely see the improvement offensively for DSU. The offense was led by forward Hunter Schofield and guard Cameron Gooden. Both players combined for 55 points, a combined 3-point percentage of 50%, and snatching 12 rebounds. Unfortunately, their efforts weren't enough to get the win over GSU, losing the game 74-77. On the other hand, Game 2 was a completely different story. The opposite success didn't carry over to Game 2. The Trailblazers got out of rebound 42-26, and the Lopes offense was on target with their shots, shooting 49% from the court. GSU won by a landslide, 46-81. DCU's games versus the Lancers will be tomorrow and Saturday at 6 p.m. It's been a really bad trend for the men's basketball team ever since the University of New Mexico. Just close and blowout, close and blowout. Just a really bad trend, and hopefully they can snap it against California Baptist.
Yeah, and the women's swim team also has a matchup today in Seattle, so I hope everything goes swimmingly for them. We're rooting for them, certainly.
Yeah, for sure. Just keep swimming, right? Hope they don't sink.
Yeah. And then they got Idaho on Saturday, so good luck to them and their weekend matchups.
Yes, and again, hopefully basketball can lose its losing streak, break it finally.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to leave you on a fun note today. Get ready to say hello to Nikita the polar bear. Due to a breeding program, the Hogle Zoo will be saying goodbye to a 5-year-old polar bear, Nora, and hello to 15-year-old Nikita. After a brief quarantine program, Nikita will be ready to say hello to visitors in the spring. I would start off with a polar bear joke, but I thought it would be a little polarizing.
Very funny.
It didn't land like I wanted it. I've never been to the Hogle Zoo, but I would love to see the polar bear there. I think that they are doing a lot of great conservation work as well.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been to the zoo, and I haven't seen the polar bears in a while at the LA Zoo in a long time. And sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, I have been to the Hogle Zoo, and one of my favorite parts was the polar bear, so I'm excited to see them get a new one.
And that's it for this week's edition of Dixie Sun News at Noon.
We will see you here next week, same time, same place.
Have a great week, Trailblazers.